Goddess Kali. What is the significance of Goddess Kali and her fearsome depiction? The origins of this goddess as a certain energy form created for a specific dimension of life. In India, various kinds of gods and especially goddesses have been created. Certain yogis and mystics created particular forms for specific purposes. Some of these forms are pleasant, some fierce, some are very vibrant. There are forms of various kinds which are meant to be used for specific dimensions of your life. Sadhguru says that there are different kinds of tools. Certain yogis and mystics created particular forms for specific purposes. Some of these forms are very, very fierce. And to use an analogy, today in the field of education, there are so many well established branches. But there was a time when education meant everyone learned everything that was to be learned. However, today different people choose to specialize in different fields. In the same way, these yogis established energy forms in different ways so that these forms are available to people as they need it for certain aspects of their life. And they created a whole system as to how we could access these forms. Let's listen to Sadhguru about Goddess Kali. Is Vastu important? What is Vastu and how can you get results from Vastu? Vastu is essentially a very basic architectural guidance. If you wanted to build a house 1,000 years ago, there would have been no architect in the village. So, what guidelines would you have to follow to build the house? In building any structure, the main challenge is always the span of the roof. How would you have built the roof? You would walk into your farm, look for some tree and cut it down. Let's say you had a stunted tree which was only 8 feet tall. Now, the roof would have only been 8 foot span, but you suppose you had 10 children, so you built a 120 foot long room to accommodate all of them. If you had built that house 8 feet wide and 120 feet long, would you be living in a tunnel? Your physical and psychological health would definitely be affected. So, if they told you you have to build a house, if one dimension is this much, the other dimension can be the other side. If you study Vastu in the hills, it's very different from Vastu in the plains. Vastu in Karnataka is very different from what it is in Tamil Nadu according to weather and temperature. They give some common analogies and guidelines so that you could build your house sensibly because there was no architect to help you. Let's listen to what Sadhguru says about how you align your chakras and what to do with Vastu. Well, friends, you want to know about the source of creation? What is it? Today, modern science proves that the whole creation is vibration. This is not anyone's invention, it is a scientific fact. Where there is vibration, there is bound to be sound. You're not just a vibration, you are a sound. This is what modern science is telling you. And somewhere way back, someone told you that first there was a word, and the word was God or Om. This creation process cannot go on even for a moment unless it is constantly supported by the source of creation, because creation is not a done thing, it is an ongoing process. A word is a sound. Sadhguru says, and I quote, right now, if I say yes, you are attaching a certain meaning to it because you know the English language. If you did not know this language, as far as you are concerned, well, we are just making a sound. If I speak in a language that you do not know, you would think I am making some kind of crazy sound. You would not know whether I am really speaking a language or making up something. So, word is just a sound. In that context, they said, word is God. Because anyone who has looked at the existence closely can see what you call as creation and what you call as creator cannot be separated. If you separate it, creation will cease to exist. This creation process cannot go on for a moment unless it is constantly supported by the creator, because creation is not a done thing, it is an ongoing process. Without the involvement of the source of creation, how would creation be an ongoing process? So, it cannot be separated. It is because of this that they said first there was a word. That means when creation began to manifest from the unmanifest, the first thing that happened was sound. Even the scientists agree that it was a big bang. A big bang means a sound. And let's listen to Sadhguru on how to create. Be still. What is silence and what can you achieve? What people aspire, whether it is to grow a business, to build a house, or whatever else is their thought. I want this arises. And once this thought happens, most people focus their energy towards that something through action and start working towards it. If their action is incisive enough, their thought becomes a reality. That is the usual way people function in the world, but they do not know how to infuse or empower that thought within a certain dimension of energy. Thought itself is a reverberation and an energy. If you have some mobility in your energy beyond the physical body, and if that mobility becomes a conscious process, you can sit in one place and make your energies go somewhere else. However, if you do this without gaining sufficient mastery over your own life energies, you may not know how to pull the energies back into you. You can lose your life like this. You will see if someone's desire is beyond a certain pitch, they always die young. Most people's desires are fickle. They desire everything. Something today, something else tomorrow. It keeps changing. But if someone desires very powerfully towards something, they die young, whether that something happens or not. Especially if that something happens, they die young because they know how to throw their life energies out, but do not have mastery to do the work and come back. Let's listen to Sadhguru on energy. What kind of food should you eat? Well, this will always depend on not what you think about it, it is your values and ethics, but on what your body wants. Food is all about the body. Ask the body, what kind of food is it really happy eating? Try different foods and see how your body feels after eating it. If your body feels very agile and energetic, that means the body is happy. If the body feels lethargic or needs to be pumped up with caffeine and nicotine to stay awake, the body is not happy. The food that you eat is life. Other forms of life are giving up their life to sustain ours. If we can eat with enormous gratitude for all of them, the food will behave in a very different way within us. If you listen to your body, it will clearly tell you what kind of food is happy. But right now you're listening to your mind. Your mind keeps lying to you all the time. Hasn't it lied to you before? Today it tells you this is it. Tomorrow it makes you feel like a fool for having believed yesterday. Do not go by your mind. You just have to listen to your body in terms of the quality of food that is entering you. Definitely vegetarian food is far better for the system than non-veg food. Just experiment and see, when you eat vegetarian food, its life form, what is the difference that it makes. The idea is to eat as much live food as possible, whatever can be consumed in its raw, uncooked form. A live cell has everything to sustain life. If you consume a live cell, you will see the sense of health in your system will be very different from what you have known. And when we cook food, we destroy the life in it. Eating food after this process of destruction does not give the same amount of life energy to the system. But when you eat food, it brings a different level of aliveness in you. If one brings in at least 30 to 40% of live food, raw food into the diet, sprouts, fruit, whatever vegetables can be consumed in a live condition, you will see it will sustain the very life within your cell. Let's listen to what Sadhguru has to say.